out and look at a couple of other storms rather quickly here. We had another severe thunderstorm warning issued for the Grafton area. This is also part of a cluster of showers and storms that continues there. And we had another storm making its way toward Coos County. This storm had a tornado warning attached to it in portions of Caledonia County in the Northeast Kingdom of Vermont a half hour ago. It has since weakened some, but still, again, holding together. And this is basically what we're up against through the afternoon of these clusters of showers and storms. I want you to notice down in southern portions of Vermont, an even stronger cell here moving across southern parts of Vermont. So again, all of this fitting the profile for the afternoon as far as gusty winds, hail, heavy downpours, and frequent lightning. Here's a look at that storm again as we zoom in. And again, tornado warning in effect until 2:15 for Sullivan County, Grantham area, as well as just north of Springfield and continuing toward the Grafton area. And as you go down the line, probably just north of Danbury and toward Newfound Lake in the next half hour to 45 minutes. The storm is moving at a northeast speed of around 35 to 40 miles an hour. So it has pretty good speed to it here as it goes along, and the changeable skies going right back to sunshine is also going to be what we're going to be up against this afternoon as these storms rapidly move northeast.
Yeah, and what's concerning, Kevin, is the storm that's just to the north of this one that has a severe thunderstorm warning. That one is also rotating. So I want to give an early heads up that the one just to the north, there you go, the one near Haverhill. Yes, that one is also spinning and also has that very definitive hook echo signature on it. And I'm going to flip over to Max too, if that's all right.
Sure.
And we can actually see that spinning that's going on with that cell as well. So here's the one that still has a tornado warning on it. And it is weakening a little bit, which is some good news. And actually the National Weather Service here is saying that the velocities are a little bit lower, so that's good. And actually on radar, it does not look as impressive as it did even a couple moments ago. But again, those of you Grantham and then up into the northern end of Springfield and Grafton, I would take cover right now in your basement, lowest level of your home. Tornado warning there continues until 2:15. But I also did want to point out the cell up to the north here, this Haverhill cell. This one has a severe thunderstorm warning. Notice how underneath that labeling there it says tornado possible. So the National Weather Service, seeing what I'm seeing and seeing that there is rotation with this cell, it is right over Haverhill, and then it's the part that would have the rotation is actually right over Bradford. And this cell put into motion has really just been forming right over that area. They are saying that these are moving easterly. They're moving more like northeasterly. So if you're in Bradford, Haverhill, Newbury, the Benton area, center Haverhill, you'd want to, I would probably get inside certainly, and maybe even lowest level of your home, because this storm also does have some spin to it. The velocities here, again, we look for the red and the blue, the red and the green colors to be close together and kind of highlighted. The colors kind of pop a little bit near where we have that spin in the atmosphere, and I'm seeing that a little bit there just to the north of Bradford. So again, we want to be very cautious with these storms. We've got plenty of moisture in the air. There's a lot of twisting and turning in the atmosphere. So even though this is a severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Grafton County, it could become a tornado warning as well. But let's shift our focus back down to where we do have a tornado warning, and it's for this cell here. You can see the red box. That is where we have a tornado warning. It is a radar indicated tornado warning, which means one has not been spotted, but that the radar is picking up on that twisting and turning in the atmosphere. So again, those of you in Grantham, you are hearing just probably constant thunder right now. There's a ton of lightning around you, heavy rain, but again, it's the twisting and turning and the rotation in the atmosphere that we're looking at. And there is still a little bit of what we call a couplet, where you've got the reds and the greens in close contact there and kind of popping in the colors, and that is indicating to us that there could be some rotation. So best thing to do if you are in a tornado warning is you want to go to your safe place now. So for most people, that would be a basement, lowest level of your home, an interior room if possible, a room that does not have windows. That's always the best place to go. So again, these would be the communities in the Grantham area. I've got a good friend who's got a house up in Eastman, so those of you in that community, you want to take shelter now. And then also the northern half of Springfield. I know Croydon was a close location as well, and then up into Grafton. Eventually, this is going to be moving up that way, Kevin.
Yeah, and we can have a tendency where we see the reflectivity kind of lags behind what you've been looking at with the upper air data and how this is progressing. And the track of this basically does take it across 89 literally now, and will then move it just to the north of Springfield and continue into southern portions of Grafton County, which is also under this tornado warning until 2:15. And then eventually down the line, assuming it holds together, you get at least a portion of the storm. Whether it is still this intense by the time it gets there is debatable that far away, a half hour from now, but this would be around the general direction of Canaan, Bristol, and around Newfound Lake and Groton over the next half hour or so. So that is the first cell, and you'll notice another one just to the north of Claremont that's trying to build in behind that at the present time. This is one of those kind of weird areas of our state where the radar beams enter this area a little higher up than we would be comfortable, especially when you have the river valleys there where you can't necessarily see exactly what's going on the ground every so often. And if you may remember back, we had an official tornado around the North Charlestown area, and that wasn't necessarily seen perfectly on radar at the time, but we did have the visual evidence from that. We had another official tornado from Monday night that was declared after a survey of damage in western New Hampshire as well. So this is all part of that situation where in that part of the state, the radar isn't going to tell you exactly everything. Sometimes it's going to be telling you what's going on a third of a mile up, a half mile up, and that doesn't necessarily tell you exactly what's going on the ground. So again, these cells progressing rapidly to the northeast at about 35 to 40 miles an hour. Sullivan County is where these two storms currently are. As they continue to progress to the northeast, they will continue to head across 89, continue on toward Grafton, and continue on toward Canaan, and then eventually up toward Newfound Lake here over the next half hour to 45 minutes. As Haley was mentioning as well, that other cell that we're watching very closely right now near the Haverhill area continues to also move northeast. These are all progressing in that same kind of general direction, and if you continue to move those northeast, that cell also will continue to progress toward Newberry, around Lake Sunapee now, and continuing a little bit closer toward Benton and Landaff and Easton over the next half hour to 45 minutes. So both of these cells of great concern right now. Another one just to the north of Claremont continues to lift northeast as well. And as you will notice back to the west through Vermont, other cells hopping over the Green Mountains now, including one just north of Manchester, Vermont, that is also heading northeast toward southwestern parts of the state. You could be probably looking at another storm heading towards southern parts of Sullivan County in the next half hour or so, as all of these are moving generally northeast between 30 to 40 miles an hour. They're all working on the same types of things going on in the atmosphere at the same time and kind of working independently of each other and all working on that sunshine that we have out there with the temperatures in the lower half of the 90s, the dew points in the upper range of the 60s. So again, if we've been mentioning any towns that are right around your vicinity here over the last 10 minutes or so, this is when you need to take cover away from windows in the lowest floor of wherever you live. Everyone here's basement, but you don't need a basement to be fairly safe and as safe as you possibly can. But certainly seeking shelter indoors, away from windows on the lowest floor of wherever you can be, is highly recommended if you've heard your town in anything that we have mentioned to this point.
Yes, and the National Weather Service also mentioning that the storm just to the southwest of the tornado warned one, there you go, just north of Claremont, is severe, and that one is strengthening. It almost looks like it's taking some of the energy from the tornadic storm and building. So that one may even become tornadic too, so that's something we're watching. So those of you, if you live just to the north of Claremont, that's where I would take cover inside. That would be the best idea at this point, and get into the lowest level of your home. It doesn't take a lot in this type of atmosphere for these storms to pulse up and to become strong and even tornadic, as we have seen here. So So what I want to do, if you don't mind, Kevin, I'm going to switch it back over to Max 2, give you just a couple headlines. This is a tornado warning that is radar indicated, meaning that the radar is seeing that there is some spin in the atmosphere. Best thing to do is to get to your safe place, lowest level of your home or your basement. So I wanted to give you an idea of the timing of when these storms will be moving through. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see what these two storms end up doing, but still, again, the tornado warned storm is for the Grantham area. It's in this red box here. It is moving off toward the east, northeast. Essentially, the tornadic part of it would be right over Grantham now, so I'm going to put on a little cone here, and this is going to give you an idea of an estimation as to when it would be arriving at the next location. So it's moving about 30 miles per hour. So here's our list over here on the left. Springfield, probably right on top of you now, at least the heavy rain, but the stronger winds and possible tornado would be within the next 10 minutes. Grafton, 17 minutes. Danbury within 24 minutes. And then it may, if it holds together, head closer to the Lakes region. So that's certainly something we'll be kind of keeping a watch on too over the next 15 to 20 minutes as this continues to move through. But again, if you're in this red box, that is where we have a tornado warning, and it continues until 2:15. National Weather Service still watching it, saying that it is capable of producing a tornado. It was located 7 miles to the northwest of New London, and it's moving east at about 30 miles per hour. Lots of lightning, very heavy rainfall just to the north of where the strongest winds would be, which would likely be right over the Route 10 and 89 junction right there. So Grantham, there's even, I think that's even Eastman Lake right there. And then for those of you on the north side of Springfield, very heavy rainfall along Route 4A, and this is where the strong winds could also be happening. Even if you live in Croydon, on the north side of Croydon, you are in this warning. It looks like the strongest of the winds probably now to your north and east, but this other storm to the back of behind the tornadic one could certainly start spinning too. This one also looks very strong with lots of lightning and purple colors in there indicating heavy rainfall. So again, there's the tornado warning. It is for portions of Grafton, Merrimack, and Sullivan counties until 2:15. One more thing I wanted to show. Let's take a look at the velocity scan. And this is looking up in the atmosphere because the radar is so far away from it. But we're looking for that spin, and it does appear that there still is some spin with this. Again, riding right along, it looks like Route 114 between Grantham and Springfield would be the area that we could have that spinning still happening. So again, those of you Grantham, Springfield, Grafton, now is the time to be in your safe place.
Mentioning that storm up near Haverhill, I put a storm track on that for you, and you will notice as that continues to lift northward up through northern parts of Grafton County, you have a storm track here that puts that within the next 10 or 15 minutes for Benton, as well as Landaff and Easton. This storm, much like the others, the potential of hail, gusty winds, heavy rain, and plenty of lightning with these. We've been watching these cells just continue to pulse up over the last half hour or so. And that front approaching from the west, just enough to start kicking these off out well ahead of the front itself as it continues to come through. So as Haley's been mentioning, you want to find that lowest floor of wherever you are and stay away from windows and do the things that you've always thought you've needed to do in these situations if you've been hearing the names of your towns throughout this broadcast so far. Again, we're watching all of these storms basically lift northeastward at around 35 to 40 miles an hour. So these will continue to progress rather quickly, and conditions are going to change rapidly. You may have sunshine, and then all of a sudden you may start to hear the thunder and then see the lightning in the distance, and eventually that's when it starts to head downhill. And you're going to be watching down to your southwest sky, if you can have a fairly clear view of that. And that is where these will be coming from here over the next couple of hours as we watch these storms continue to pulse and continue to work their way in as that front continues to gradually make its way in our direction this afternoon. So you can clearly see back out to our west all the activity through Vermont and New York, and we're just starting to see in western New Hampshire now, the beginnings of this. Now you have to imagine as you get into Coos County, all the way down through eastern parts of the state, down through southern New Hampshire, you have temperatures in the lower half of the 90s, you have dew points up above 70, you have all the energy in the atmosphere, and while we continue to watch storms in the upper valley and up through the Great North Woods kind of cool the air and stabilize things, there are still plenty of other areas of the state where we continue to watch these storms just really starting to get going now. And so we're basically with a severe thunderstorm watch until 8 o'clock this evening. In this for the long haul, the front itself doesn't cross the state until sometime early this evening. So we'll be looking for this development out ahead of that. And again, as this continues to work along with the terrain, with these pockets of very hot air, along with the humidity, we continue to watch these storms kind of ebb and flow between severe to just heavy rain to just a lot of lightning. And that's what's going to keep us on our toes this afternoon, because I don't know if we're going to have anything necessarily long-lived, but at the same time, you'll watch some of these cells just kind of take on a life of their own and kind of work in their own different direction. We're watching one through southern parts of Vermont that has been holding together here just north of Manchester, Vermont over the last few hours. We're watching another one just to the northeast of Hinsdale. That is moving into western portions of Cheshire County. But again, back to the here and the now, the tornado warning remains in effect until 2:15 for portions of Sullivan County, basically northern Sullivan County, northwestern Merrimack County, and southern Grafton County. So that storm, as we kind of zoom in along it here, I'll erase the lightning off of here so we can at least see the heaviest portion of this cell as we move forward. We will be looking for this storm to continue to move northeast. So you've got areas like Grafton in southern Grafton County, eventually Bristol, and possibly around Newfound Lake. And eventually, if this all holds together, very heavy rain as well as gusty winds and small hail heading their way toward 93, and eventually places like Ashland or Plymouth, and continuing a little bit farther south just to the west of the Lakes region as it continues to move its way toward the Big Lake over the next half hour to 45 minutes. So again, all of this progressing northeastward, all of it moving rather quickly, setting up some very changeable skies, keep making everyone kind of stay on their toes this afternoon and be ready to take action to that safe place in your house as we go forward. Main mode this afternoon, in most of the maps have been saying gusty winds, small hail, but again, you get into these situations where you have the temperatures as high as they are, the humidity as high as it is, just about anything is fair game, including a short-lived tornado. So that we're watching all of these possibilities for you as we go through the next couple of hours with the severe thunderstorm watch for the entire state that goes through 8 o'clock this evening.
Thank you, Kevin. And I figure I'll just give kind of a rehash of what we're looking at all across the state, because now we have active warnings in many different locations. So wanted to get you up to date on exactly what we're looking for. So it looks like they are going to take down maybe that warning, that tornado warning. It looks like it is still severe. But they're going to likely make a decision on that tornado warning in the next couple of moments here. So just wanted to give you an update on what the National Weather Service is thinking about here. So as far as what we're seeing, we've got lots of lightning. We have a few different tornado warnings right now. And it looks like they are going to let the tornado warning expire based on the current trends. So that's some really good news. I'll zoom us down on it, though, just to give you an idea. And I'm not surprised. You can actually see that the tornado warned part of the storm, the one just to the north and east of Grantham, is definitely weakening a lot. Still, tons of lightning and very heavy rainfall along Route 4A. I'll zoom way down. So this is just north of Springfield along Route 4A, headed toward the Grafton area. Grantham, I think the worst of it is over for you, but there is actually more heavy rain back to the west, lots of thunder and lightning with this secondary storm that is following behind that first one. That one also has a severe thunderstorm warning on it again. But just to get you up to date on this one, where there could be some rotation would be just to the west of Springfield, moving to the east, northeast, about 30 miles per hour. So Grafton, Danbury, Alexandria, and eventually toward the Lakes region, you'd want to be prepared for this within the next hour.